African time, 7 p.m. sharp. Welcome to the Man of Thought, aka the Black Panther of Nigeria, aka the Villain of Truth. Today we are going to be having a sensitive subject that we would be discussing about. And it is about, do African women hate American Black women, or we can say Black American women? That's the subject we're going to be discussing today. And I'll be hoping and if it's not, I totally understand, simply because today is Sunday and most people might not be live. A lot of people would have many things they do today that tends to be Sunday. But hopefully, if people join me live, that is going to be fine. If they don't, those of you who are going to be watching it, welcome. And before you proceed in watching the video, it is important that you subscribe, because I'm going to be having this deeper discussion today. I would have loved the audience to join me so we can reason together, but there's a possibility they will or they might not. In fact, this morning when I was having a live video, about 8,600 people were with me live this morning. So most of them might have gone, as this is weekend, a lot of them might have gone into other things that they want to do. So with that being said, why do I want to talk about, do African women hate Black American women? That's what the subject is about. Why do I want to talk about it? The reason I want to talk about it is basically because I have been seeing certain things, and I have had certain conversations with people who are kind of close to me, and someone who is very dear and very close to me. We had some discussions about this over and over again. And before the situation actually came up, a lot of times I see people talk about things about the Black American women, and there is an ideology that most Africans kind of have with the American women. You know, if you understand some of the things that are going on in the American culture or in the Western culture, most of the Black men over there are deciding not to get married to a lot of their women over there, simply because certain excuses are the men are not responsible. But most Western men have made decision to get married to men outside America or outside the Western culture. That has been the situation. And so when I look at it, I was like, there should be a threat here for a lot of American Western men, Black American Western men, to leave their culture, to leave America, and decide that they want to go marry from other countries. And it's not necessarily just African, but they most likely will go to African country. I heard, and we have already seen things like what they call passport bros. And what does passport bros do? They go to different city and different country to get women to get married to those particular women. That's what passport bros is all about. So I've been looking into it until the dialogue actually came up of recent. And what's the dialogue about? The dialogue was that I had someone who was kind of dear to me, who was kind of close to me, who was, I would even call the person one of my number one fan. We had an altercation even yesterday, and I kind of became a ghost in a certain, I know what I mean when I say ghost, because when we have subjects talking about why the African women hate the Black American women, I have my own hypothesis around it. I most likely wouldn't know anything, and that's the reason why I would love to dialogue with people. Let us reason about it together. I will put out my hypothesis, and whatever you also think, you can bring out your own opinion and your viewpoint on why African women have this disparity for Black American women. Now, there is something that is very obvious. It is not difficult for an American man to get married to an African woman. In fact, a lot of African women rejoice in getting married to an American black man. Let me put this, if you have any opinion you want to put out, if you have not subscribed to my channel, you most likely would not have the opportunity to be able to write on my chat. So before you are able to write anything on the chat, you most likely should have subscribed to the channel. If possible, you need to give it likes. I would appreciate all of that. So what is actually going on here? A lot of African women love to date American men. Maybe they are black, maybe they are white, maybe they are blue, maybe they are green. African women gravitate towards American men. But the question is that, why is it that when it comes to the American women, there is a disparity between African women and American women? I'm going to touch on different things here. We are going to dive deep and look at a lot of things that could have been part of the issues. And I wrote out a few things that are my own point that I would use to mitigate and navigate this discussion further for us to be able to reason together. So if you haven't liked, please do like this subject. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do subscribe. Let us ask ourselves the question, why is there challenges? So if I have the smart people out there, some of my audience who are very intelligent, I would also welcome your opinions on this particular subject. So let us look at it. First of all, part of the things that I had to make research is what could be the reasons. And then the first thing I saw was that there could be cultural differences. I'm still going to go back to my own hypothesis on what I think might be the issue. But there's what we call cultural differences. And according to ChatGPT, I asked ChatGPT, what could be the disparity between African women and Black American women? And ChatGPT gave me certain lists. Trust me, I would have loved to have had a live discussion on this particular subject to expand on it on different level, but certain individuals who could be available to talk about this subject would not want to because of a lot of backlash, and not everyone actually appreciates the idea of coming on platform. So that is very well understood. So part of the things ChatGPT was able to come up with, it says that there could be cultural difference. And it says, despite shared ancestry Black tensions, Africans and Black Americans have different cultural backgrounds, traditions, and values. Now, what it's saying there is that despite our cultural difference in today's world, we came from the same spot, and we have almost similar values and traditions in our history according to our ancestral past. Now, the question is, what actually changed? Before I proceed there, part of the hypothesis I used to have about the Black American women and the issues they have with the men over there, I think that some of it is because of the justice system over there. Now, I could be wrong, but I love to throw out my own opinion and let people debate on particular things. Maybe we can start all this by discussion, and then we can find a solution to the subject. This is Bear Indy. It says, I'm a Black African American woman. Welcome. Bear Indy, welcome. Please, I would like you to put in your insight. I would appreciate your views on this. Part of the things that I thought has been part of the issues of the Black American women and African women disparity, because this is not between American women and Black men. No, I think African men naturally loves American women. In fact, we see them almost as the same as our African women. The difference is that they are a little bit, or if not more, exposed than an average African woman. Exposure. So, and in that, because African men have courage and are not most times intimidated by maybe a woman is having resources, maybe a woman is more educated. African men do not care about all these things. African men would want to approach a Black American woman. And a Black American man, a lot of African women also gravitate towards them. The problem is that the American women and the African women most times do not agree on a lot of things. But before we actually address their issues, which I think is a serious issue, we have to begin with certain discussion. We have to start reasoning together, and we have to look at what is the reason behind it. We have to look at the African culture, and we look at the Black American women's culture. Trust me, on the social media space, Black American women have been portrayed to be a particular kind of people. In the social media space, if you even type Black American woman or Black Western American woman, the idea about it on every social media platform is totally not encouraging. Welcome. Thank you for joining me behind Rosima and back again. Welcome. The image that has been painted about a Black American woman is not encouraging to any society who values family. Now, when I discuss with some Black American women, they make me realize that this is only what they portray on social media. A lot of Black American women are not the kind of women they are portraying on social media. I am yet to verify that. But I believe if you live in the American space and you walk around that particular vicinity, you would know majority of people who have the kind of image that are being portrayed or published by the social media space. I've asked more few, but every other aspect that we can go on social media space, the image of the Black American women are totally not good. In debate, in conversations, in every kind of stuff, it is not good. Look at it even from the musical part. Yes, I know the Black American men, they have all this Gucci and the rest of it, but I think they kind of downplay it in a different way when it comes to the Black men, and they just look at it from the hip-hop culture. They look at it from the rap culture, and they are like, these are Black American men. And because they are Black American men, they just wear the gold and they go out and they talk about certain things that are criminal, but the society do not so much pay attention to it, regardless of the fact that it has an impact on their own side. But on the women's side, the Black American women, their music, everything that has to do with them makes the world to see the total Black American women to be different from what some of them truly are. Every identity. If you talk to me as a Nigerian who has never been to the US before, if you talk to me and you say Black American woman, what do you think will be the description in your head? The description will be long nails, weave on, chains, fake butts, fake boobs, and gold digger. That is the natural idea that has been pushed out to the public. If you think about a Black American woman, a lot of people would not even dare to make findings to say that maybe there are some Black American women that are not like this. Maybe they are decent Black American women. A lot of people would not even make that search because do you want to talk about Megan Thee Stallion? I also know, I'm aware that Cardi B is not a Black American woman. She's, what do they call it? Is it Puerto Rican or Mexican or something like that? When we talk about Beyonce, even though she's married, when we talk about how many of the women in the Black American women that we talk about that actually have good identity in the social media space. Maybe one of the ones I might be able to easily come up with my head is Mary J. Blige. But trust me, Mary J. Blige is not that famous. Yes, she is very famous, but not in today's age. So an average African man has the idea, or an average person has the idea that every Black American woman, this is how they look like. And it's very discrediting. But let us ask ourselves the question. You know, when you go on Google and you make certain research, most of the research on Google might most likely not be accurate, even if they come up with demography and they come up with different interviews and the rest of it that they've most likely done in the past. Most of it might not be accurate. And the reason why I doubt that it might be accurate is because most of the discussions I've had with certain individuals has been that Black American women are trying to support the Black American men. But the Black American men are not taking the Black American women serious. I might be wrong. But from a distance view, I have a different way I want to view it. And I would like those of us who are not we are not Black Americans, and those who are also Americans, if we can reason these things together, and then we can bring up a solution with this discussion. Even if we don't conclude on it today, we can continue this conversation. Let me quickly read. Bia Indy says, I'm a decent Black woman. My parents raised me well. I dated a man from Togo, Africa. He was very prosperous and was very verbally abusive. I think it's a deep-seated tribal thing. I no longer date African men or Caribbean men. Welcome, Anna from Sweden. You're welcome. Now, here's what she says. She's a Black American woman and she was raised well. You know, that is kind of a little bit debatable. That might be debatable. That means you might say you are being raised well. The person might have a different perception about how you're being raised, basically because of cultural differences. But you said something that the man is verbally abusive. I think that the way a lot of people treat certain people is basically because of the image that has been painted with those people. Now, sometimes their actions does not necessarily have to match what has been painted about them, but they just hate them. So the question is this: why are Black American men not dating Black American women? Some of the things that we have heard, we don't know if they are true. But some of the things that we've heard is that the justice system over there supports the women more than the men. That means most of the women in the space of divorce, even regardless of the idea of prenups and the rest of it, the woman always have more higher hand than the man in their relationship or in their marriage. When I speak to a Black American woman, she said, this rarely even happens in the Black community. So can you see that there's two contradictory ways of viewing it? Someone who is actually living there and the image that is being portrayed on social media. When you talk about different podcasts like Fresh and Fit, Rolo Tomasi, name them, countless of social media podcasts that will tell you negative things about the Black American women. And they tell you all the negative things they've been doing. More or less, the same thing is now coming to our own African culture, that we are portraying our women to be certain kind of things. Yes, it's trickling down to this place also. But now, how do you know that certain individuals are decent? You can't know because social media tells you otherwise. So, but part of the things they've said is that the Black American women, most of them wants to go into thoughts. Most of them want to dance around. Most of them are not responsible. Most of them want to have a baby and they just want to be baby mama, baby mama. They don't want to stick to a man. I think that when you look at an average African man, this is the natural way he perceives things, basically because that is the narration that has been set in the social media space. The question is this: would you blame the man, the African man, who is viewing you based off what your social media space has been saying about you, about the Black American women, or most likely the African women who still have their culture and traditions and who are trying to preserve it? Do you think that with the way the social media portray an average Black American woman, do you think that they would want to welcome you? In my opinion, I don't think it's going to work that way. They would want to preserve certain things. And I'm still going to dive a little bit deeper than whatever I'm saying right now. Anna says something. She says, I'm sorry, you went through that bay. Was he nice in the beginning? Okay, I think he's speaking to B. Indy. That was the man nice in the beginning. Because she said the man was actually prosperous. You know, trust me, if a man wants something from a woman, the first thing he has to do is to be nice to the lady. So we can't really tell. And you know, we can hear from one side and we might not know from the other side. But if she says she comes from a good parented house and she's decent in the way she dressed, that might tell a different way we should view things. And I think we can actually dive deeper into such stuff. Oh, she said something. She said he proposed on the second date. It was not genuine. An African man does not propose on the second date. Trust me. He has an intentions that are totally different. If an African man proposed to you on the second date, he has something else in his mind. That's absolutely not genuine. African men like to observe. Maybe there's something he actually wants from you. That can be debatable. So, when we have different discussion about the idea of why the Black American men are going after other women, I was arguing from a fact that maybe the women are not being respectful to the man. And I think that most men have this particular part of them that has this ego and they want to be respected. There's an idea that is being in the Western culture which has to do with equality. And trust me, I understand the idea of equality, which is equality to funds, equality to rights, justice system, and the rest of it. But most men has come out on the social media space and they said, no, we are being robbed. The justice system is taking our men to jail just because they are not paying alimony, just because they are not paying child support, just because of one thing or the other, and they most likely find themselves in jail. And I think that if a man is actually coming from that standpoint and whatever they are saying is true, then most likely you wouldn't want to advise someone to see a fire and put their hands in it. And so the Black American men decide to move outside the country. When I asked from someone in the US, and I said, "What's your view on this?" They said, most of the women are trying to hold down their Black American men. But the Black American men, some of them are not responsible. Most of them, if not even, most of them are not responsible. And I'm like, this narration is totally different from social media narration. But according to what the problem is that when they make decision, when the Black American women decide to come to Africa, most of them have this complaint that African women or Africans dislike them. Africans hate them, which is the bone of contention of what we are actually discussing right now. Because I, as a person, do not think that I can fix the relationship between a Black American man and a Black American woman, but I think I can talk about the relationship between a Black American woman and African. So most of them have this idea that whenever they come to, maybe it's a reality, that whenever they come to Africa, they are being treated poorly. The only thing people want from them is just to extort things from them. They are being disrespected, they are not being respected, and the rest of it. And I am saying most likely it's because of the perception that has been painted about these women on social media. And because there are cultural differences, we most likely might not see eye to eye on many things. And then ChatGPT gave us a second one. It says, stereotypes and misconception. Why do African women do not so much show love to Black American women? Stereotypes and misconceptions. And what it says is this: media portrayals, that's what I've been talking about, and stereotypes on both sides can create negative perception. African women might stereotype African women might feel that Black American women misunderstand or stereotype African culture. Now, that means there's a possibility that most African women are worried that a lot of Black American women are coming to pollute their culture. I have my own hypotheses that are different from ChatGPT. But I want to first of all bring out this point from ChatGPT simply because when I analyze my own viewpoint of why there is a possibility that an average African woman fight against a Black American woman, but when we as the Black American or as an African see a Black American man, we love them. In fact, we like to socialize with them. We don't see them as our enemy. We love Black American men. Most African culture or most Africans love Black American men. But there's an issue with the Black American women and African. Maybe there's a sentiment that if you can keep your man, are you coming to take our men? I will be diving into that very soon. So it talks about stereotypes and misconception. Thirdly, it talks about identity and pride. Identity and pride. And when it talks about identity and pride, it says some Africans might feel that their African identity is not fully respected, which can lead to resentment. So this is both sides. Most American women want their identity, their culture, and they as people to be respected. But I want you to also understand, for example, as a Nigerian, I have heard that when people commit crime, even if they are not Nigerian and they are in another country, if you ask them where do they come from, they will say they are Nigerian. The perception about Nigeria is that they are committing crimes. That is basically because this is what our government paints about us. This is what our EFCC does to us. And when you get a criminal, for example, in Nigeria, rather than you to take that person to prison to arrest the person, they snap those people and they put them on social media. So if every time our EFCC in Nigeria, when we get any Nigerian individual who commit a crime and we snap them every time and we put them on social media, we are painting an image about an average Nigerian guy that they are fraudsters. And that is why the world sees us that way. So certain people who just commit a different crime would say they are from Nigeria. So when you look at it from the other side, the identity and pride that I was talking about, or that ChatGPT gave as its point, is that there is a perception about the Black American women. And generally, the perception of Black American women to the world, and I'm not saying it is true, to the world seems as if they cannot keep their men because they don't have respect or they don't treat their men better. In a sense, I believe that if the only thing that makes a relationship actually work, or marriage to actually work, it's most likely dwells in the hands of the woman. I'm not saying the man does not have responsibility. I'm saying that if a man does not see his value in a relationship, he most likely will walk away. And when it comes to the aspect of the way they are being dealt with in the justice system, if perhaps that is true, I am not there, but if perhaps that is true, and that is what they keep bringing to us, the Africans, in social media space, most women will want to defend their identity, to not want the Black American woman to come pollute their society. Before I proceed to the next one, let me read, for those of us, we have over 56 people joining us right now on live. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel so you can chat. If you have not, you wouldn't be able to chat or write anything if you haven't subscribed to the channel. Anna says, if you have any time left for it, it would be interesting to hear your thoughts on a white woman dating a Black man and how the dynamics around their respective families. I would have loved to give an insight on this. I would love. Let's see the possibilities of having this discussion. Please do remind me. I will take note of what you've said. Let's see how far we go with it. The next thing it talks about is socio-economic difference. The reason why there's a possibility that African women dislike or have most misunderstanding with the Black American women is that socio-economic difference. And this point actually matters a lot. And this is how it narrated. It said there might be a perception that Black American women have more opportunities or resources. I want you, if you're a Black American woman, to be able to reconsider all these things. I'm not saying that any any African woman has the right to hate. I'm saying that if we can understand all these, then we know how we can start the dialogue, and then we should be able to find a way on a middle ground to start cohabitating together. Because in my understanding, most Black American women want to unite with their African brothers and sisters simply because our ancestral past and our roots are the same. If not for colonialism, most of them wouldn't be there in the first place. So socio-economic difference. Now, I want you to know that an average African woman does not make as much as an average Black American woman. Let us even look at the economic difference when it comes to dollar to naira or dollar to any African currency. Your money means a lot. And so they most likely might feel intimidated. And this was my point. This was part of the discussions I was having with the individual. I said, there is a possibility that most African women are scared that because these women have money, they most likely would be intimidating them. That means they will be seducing their men with money. That means when you are seducing a man with money, an African man with money, he is selling his soul out to you and is going to betray a natural, what I call it natural, just an African woman. And then because of the socioeconomic difference, they will feel intimidated because you want to show off. Most likely, a lot of you are doing it because you are being generous. Most Black American women tries to buy things because they are very generous. But most likely, the African women will see it from a different perspective, that you're trying to show off that what they cannot provide for their husband or what they cannot provide for their boyfriend, you want to snatch their boyfriend with money simply because you are wealthy than them. If you understand this cue, maybe you should know how you spend when you are in an African country. I'm not saying it's right. Maybe they think about it or not. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying that maybe this can be possible. And if you have the understanding of how they might be viewing things, then you might be able to know how you mitigate yourself around life. The idea of all this conversation is to bring us closer. Anna says, thank you so much. I completely understand that it would be like condescending to them. Trust me. The same way a lot of Black American women feel kind of bad that their men are going out to get married to Philippines, date Chinese, Asian women, and the rest of it. The way you feel bad about it is the same way the African women naturally get intimidated that you most likely wants to take their husband simply because you have more money. Money can be an intimidation. And let me say this, there's always a disparity between the rich and the poor in every society. So sometimes I have talked to someone who says that even if she is in the African culture, she tries to make the man give the man the money to act as if he's the one doing everything. And I completely understand that. But sometimes those men they don't think properly. And just like Bia Indy said the other time, she got married, she dated someone, and the second date, the person said he wants to get married to her, proposed in the second date. African men don't do that. So it's basically because we are not having this discussion, it is easy for you to fall as a prey to those individuals. So socioeconomic differences can always intimidate an African woman. Trust me, it does. How do we do it? I don't have the old answers, but I think that if you are aware of it, you most likely would know how to handle such a situation when you find yourself in an African land. And the fifth one is colonial and historical legacies. This one don't really matter, but I will still say it. It actually matters a lot because that is where the disparity came from in the first place, which is that the effect of colonization and the transatlantic slave trade shaped the identities and histories of both. I repeat, colonial and historical legacies, the effect of colonization and the transatlantic slave trade shaped the identities and histories of both. So that means that the only reason why you have a different way you view things and the way we view things is simply because of the colonialism of the things that have happened in the past. But here is it. There was something that an individual told me, And it says that during the time as Black women, for you to be able to work in a corporate office, they ask you to wear a wig. They ask you to dress in a certain kind of way. And maybe that's what gives birth to the kind of way that a lot of Black women dress, wearing wigs, eyelashes, and the rest of it. And they say that a natural African Black woman wants to dress with a natural hair, that you guys over there, you value a natural hair of the Black people, but a lot of you have to do it simply because of your job. But because our young ladies look up to the Black American women, not the old ladies, our young ladies look at the Western Black American women, most of our ladies do no more value their hair, no more value their natural hair. Before you know, they start buying wigs of 500,000, wigs of 1 million, buying long fingers, and they look like eagles. They have eyelashes that look like cats. Where do they learn all this from? They learn it looking at the Black African woman that is being portrayed on the social media. Trust me, read my lips carefully. I'm not saying this is what Black American women are. I say this is what is being portrayed about the Black American woman. So, in my own opinion, and what I've seen is that an average elderly or a grown-up African woman wants to correct, and we can see the degeneracy of our young women in Africa displaying in real time. And because it's displaying in real time, we ask ourselves a question. Why is it that an average young lady in Africa is going into pornography, or a lot of them into prostitution and the rest of it? Why are they doing that way? Now, we observe that most of our average young lady look at the social media and they want to imitate the Black African, the Black American woman that is being portrayed on social media, how they act, how they dress, how they speak, how they do every single thing, how they have no respect. Trust me, an African woman naturally respects their men. It is not because we are the superior and they are the inferior. They actually appraise their men simply because they want to keep the relationship. For you to be able to sustain any good relationship, one person must be giving more than the other. I'm not saying it is normal. I'm not saying that is how it should be. But the reality of life is that in every relationship, one person most likely will sacrifice a little bit more than the other person. Anna says, I completely understand that it could be okay. It says, I think you are very insightful and correct in a lot of ways. Canary King says, you are covering a very important topic. Thank you very much. Man value respect. Now, let us look at it from this perspective. An African woman naturally puts their husband on a pedestal. This is how our culture and tradition has always been for a very long time. Trust me, an African woman is a very strong woman. Most African women are doing a lot than they show out to the world. If an African woman is taking good care of her husband, even if she's the one supporting him financially, you most likely, nobody on earth would even know about it. But in the social media space of the Black American woman, it's always portrayed to be 50-50, 50-50, 50-50. If I bring 50%, you bring 50%. It's always about 50-50. Equality on everything, and it makes it look like there is now this aspect of freedom of speech, that the freedom of speech looks like it brings disrespect in the relationship. It looks like it. I'm not saying it's bringing disrespect. I say it looks like it according to what we view. And when an African woman sees a Black American woman comes in and she dates an African man, and she talks the way she talks to a Black American man, or to an Black American man, they feel like, we used to honor our men in Africa. Why are you disrespecting our man? We wouldn't talk to our man in this way. Why are you talking to our man in this way? One thing about the African culture is that when women are upset, an average African woman, when she's upset about what her husband has done or her spouse has done, she waits in the right time to talk about the subject, most likely in the place where no one is staying or where no one can actually see what is going on. In the American culture, you have to sit and you talk about it. Everyone can even shout on themselves. As long as there's no domestic abuse, everyone can scream on themselves. But I want to ask this question. It looks as if the African women have been able to successfully preserve their men in a way. And so because they've been able to preserve it, they are trying to overprotect him. And then they are seeing the Black American women, due to the fact that the young African girls are imitating the Black American women, then they feel like these women are actually what the social media portray them to be, because most of our young girls are becoming as the Black American women. Trust me, most people might not understand this perspective. I am not saying it is right. I am saying that is how they view things. And if you understand how they view things, it is easier for you to be able to shape every other thing. So the question would be, what can we do to be able to resolve some of this issue? We ain't going to end the subject here today, but we would look into it. Part of the things that we can do about it is that how can we fix disparity between women and Black American women? And I think that for me, what I would have valued is to see that our Black American women have a good relationship with African women. Because trust me, Black American women do not so much have issues with the African men, except those who are getting into relationship with the wrong African men. And it's basically because you do not understand how African men actually do few things. And trust me, I say this, it might most likely be very difficult for an average African man to want to commit to a Black American woman who is not very decent, who does not try to bend a culture towards the lineage of his own culture. I'm not saying that you should forsake your culture. I'm saying if you are not going to bend it a little bit towards his culture, he most likely would not want to commit himself in that relationship. And most likely that is why a lot of them kind of find a way that when they get what they want from a Black American woman, they want to deviate from her. This is not applicable to everybody. I'm saying to certain individuals, majority of the time. Canary King says that man value respect, women value love. I absolutely talked about it several times. I appreciate you bringing up that point. What brings a relationship? And you see, the respect of an average African man is that when you do something or when there's a misunderstanding between us, and I'm speaking about something, you should listen. And when you listen, find a better space to be able to communicate back to me. But when an average Black woman, we have seen issues and we've heard a lot of issues that some Black American women, if an African man goes there, they most likely know how to deal with him. And because they have that kind of mindset, a lot of them don't want to commit simply because, you see, please correct me if I'm wrong. An average African man thinks that a Black American woman would most likely stab him or shoot him because that is an image that is being portrayed on the social media. Whenever she feels she's been betrayed. In fact, can you even look at it on social media? Look at what goes on social media. Social media might not be the truth, but social media is impacting our reality. That is one thing we should be able to accept. Thank you for joining Hood the Truth. Oh, you came a little bit late. Good evening, welcome. Social media is not necessarily the truth, but social media impact our reality. When you see certain ladies slapping a man, pouring drinks on a man, abusing and insulting a man, that is what they portray on social media, and that's what they portray in the movies about Black women. An average African man will be courageous to talk to you regardless of your status, regardless of the money you have made, regardless of anything. An African man always have the courage to speak to anybody. The question is, does he want to commit himself to you? Because at the back of his mind, he don't know even if you have a gun or if you have ever stabbed anyone in your life, but because what the social media has portrayed about them is that this is who they are. The narration is very important. I made a video yesterday. I had a live video with Mr. Olubode Adeola, and we spoke at length about certain things. And I said something that one of the things we need to start doing as people is to make sure we start changing the narration, because when you look at the social media space, in fact, there's now a disparity between an average African man and an average African young lady. And because there's a perception there, we are seeing them on social media every time. A lot of them are being interviewed, and you cannot see a decent woman being brought to a podcast to have discussion. Every single one of them that they bring on the podcast or they interview on the way are just either taught, prostitute, people who don't have the foundation way of thinking. And this is one of the reasons why an average African man don't want to even date an average African young lady. Remember, when I speak, I say young lady, simply because of what is being portrayed on the social media. So it's even trickling down to our own traditions and culture. And so certain people are trying to defend it at all levels. Let me quickly read before I proceed. It's an average African man wants respect. And I think that the identity that is being portrayed about the Black American women is that they don't respect their man. And women value love. True. Canary Kane says a working relationship is one where a man feels respected and the woman feels loved. I once made a comment at some point that I love everything about my wife simply because she's a very respectful person. And I would say this: one of the key points that has sustained our relationship for years, for more than 8 years right now, is simply because of how respectful she is. Because respect to us simply means love. If a woman respects you, it means love to us as African men. To women, you actually want to feel connection, emotion, care, and caring, and the rest of it. We want to be respected. And in the aspect of respect, there are different ways we view respect. But sometimes, because of the way the culture of the Black women or Black American women is that they feel like when you say a word like Be submissive. Some of them says, do you think I'm your slave? Submissiveness to them simply means you are trying to enslave them. Submissiveness simply means that you allow someone to take a lead. That's what submissiveness actually means. To allow someone else take a lead. And for you to allow someone to take a lead is simply because you trust that person. And if you trust me, and I know that you are committed and submissive to me, I most likely, I'm not saying everyone, I most likely would not want to betray that trust, because I would lose every ounce of respect from you, from your family, from the community, and from the society at large. The problem is that a lot of people don't want to, anything they listen that comes about submissiveness, no, you're trying to box me. Before you tell me to do something, you have to explain everything to me. And if I don't agree, I have to do this. Sometimes a lot of us feel like these things are being combative. I'm not kind of giving excuses. I'm just saying how things are being viewed in the African culture versus the things that are being done in the American culture. And trust me, like I said earlier, these things are not so much applicable to the Black American men, because Black American men can go anywhere in the African culture and they are going to find women who would love them. But it is that the Black American women are the ones having the issue. And I think that if some of them can look at certain situations and understand that this is how people perceive them, even though it's not true, they would know how to tread along the line while we resolve this whole issue. And I'm not saying you have to bend. I'm saying if you want something and you really want to mingle with the women, because I can say this for a fact, if the women of the African culture does not accept the Black American women, it will be very, very, very difficult for an American woman to be able to have a Black or an African man. Here is the reason. I know of a lot of a lot of African men who have been married to a Black American woman, who have been married to a woman in the UK and the rest of it, and they've come back home to Nigeria, to Africa, to establish a different relationship, marriage, and family. Why? They feel more accepted, they feel more respected because of the ways the women in Africa act compared to the way the Western women act. Because some of them, you can't tell your child to stand in a particular position, or for your children to kneel down and raise their hands up. Even when they do something that is negative, the law enforcement will come after you. So how can an average African man cannot instill discipline into his children? These are many factors that are into this whole stuff. So if an American Black woman wants to be able to fix this, we have to find a middle ground. I'm not saying you have to bend backward. I'm just saying we have to find a middle ground, and that is where this conversation is actually leading to. Canary Kane says, keep in mind that Black America has been under attack for centuries by majority of society. For that reason, it is very complex. I 1000% agree with you. I've heard about it. I've had countless of discussion on it. Now, the reasons behind it is so much big that the only way we can break it down is to have certain Black American women come in and have this conversation. Now, here is one thing why I even decided to bring up this conversation. When I've been speaking about this particular stuff to someone who is very close, one of my closest person, we met through social media. And while we talk about a lot of things on this particular perspective, the idea is that as a Black American woman, once you come up to say anything that is controversial, not even controversial, that is real and the rest of it, you most likely get attacked on social media. And that is the reason why a lot of them are moving backwards. But I'm like, okay, if the Black American women are actually under attack, wouldn't it sound good? Wouldn't it relieve them a little bit if they can find a good relationship with the African people? But if the African women begin to resist the Black American woman, how possible will that be? I think there should be a place where we compromise. That's my take first on that. I am an American Indian indigenous woman. Living in North America, you can ask me question. Okay. Sacred Eagle Oracle. Thank you for that. If you have anything in your mind that you actually want to bring up, please, you can. I might ask you a question as we proceed. I hope you can stay tuned while we're there. Who the Truth says, good evening. Sacred Eagle Oracle said, I had an African friend. I had to teach him about organic American culture. The social media project false stereotypes. That was exactly what I was being told. Now, here is what I've been proposing. A lot of Black American women, if you decide not to affect a change or to work to make a change is not going to happen. Change is going to only happen according to what other people want it to be. So the only way this can be changed is for most of these people, most of you guys, to be able to start conversations like this. You can't go right on social media. It is rare for you to see conversations like this play out on the social media space. There was a guy they call Kevin Samuels. When Kevin Samuels want to talk about the Black American woman, he kind of beats them down with the words of his mouth, say negative things about them. You know, a lot of them, countless of them calls on his show, and everything he says is kind of degrading, and the rest of it, you have to date an high value man to get an high value man, this, that. And it looks like even if the Black American man cannot protect the woman, what can Africans do? The Bible says if the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do? But I think that if the Black American women begin to have these conversations, dialogue, and start bringing it also to the social media space, we can change the narration. So this false stereotype that we have put on every single Black American woman, we should be able to change it, that it's not every Black American woman that are like this. This is a narration that is being published by the social media people. And Candy Yam says, a few things you said about the Black American women aren't completely true. Can you explain? Okay, so just as all isn't true about African women. Candice Yams, I think that what you can do is you can tell me specifically what I've said. Trust me, I haven't said anything about Black American women. All my conversation I've had today, I haven't said any single thing about Black American women. What I've said is that what is being painted and what is being narrated about Black American women and the viewpoints that other people are using to look at Black American women. I haven't even raised anything. I am raising questions and I'm thinking about things. I haven't come up with any points, any of my view, I haven't come up. But I'm saying that if there's a narration like this about the Black American women, if an African woman is standing this way and they are seeing certain things like this that is being painted about the Black American women, this is where there can be more issues. Now, sometimes the Black American women, comparing them to the issue of animally and taking people to court, seizing the children and chasing the man out of the house. For a fact, for example, if that is actually true, that a Black American woman can chase her husband out of the house simply because she's sleeping with another man. This is a movie. You know that these things is in your social media and they portray it. That some Black American woman would have a boyfriend and have children in the house with her husband, and the husband probably caught them having sex, and she will call the police to come and take the husband out that is too aggressive. In the African culture, it does not work that way. I am saying that is what they portray. I am saying that is what the movie and the social media portrays about the Black American women. So whatever I am saying that is not completely true, please do correct me, but I haven't said anything yet. I'm saying what is being painted. Zio says that same bad habits pass from mom to daughters. Who the Truth says social media will show you what they want you to see. Mind you, they want your thoughts to be in one direction, which profits their agenda. 1,000,000%. And Sacred Eagle Oracle says, we as American women come in a variety with different interests. Many are not the stereotypes portrayed. Absolutely. At least the ones I've spoken to are not exactly what the social media portray. But I think if I hadn't have a good relationship with those ones, and I haven't been to America, what do you expect the righteous to do? That's exactly how I would see it. But I'm saying that there's something that can be done if the Black American women begin to have discussions and platforms to have this particular subject. How can you talk about a anybody can just go on Google and just type Black American young women or Black American women. What are Black American women like? And see what Google is going to bring out. See what's Instagram, social media, see what they are going to portray. Either the one that is on bikini, either the one that the boobs is out, either the one that has painted their whole face like they're worshiping the deities. Either you see the ones that they have eyelashes that looks like broom, or that they wear wig that look like blood of God. It is not funny. And if the Black American decent women care about their community, I think they should be able to either start this conversation or find a way to support this conversation and make sure it spreads. Because if it doesn't, you say a lot of communities or a lot of nations, a lot of society are against the Black American women. A lot of us even are maybe kind of aware about it based off history. During the time of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, we have little glimpse of the historical past. But when we're talking about the present day today, a lot of people just look at Black American women to be people who doesn't have morality inside of them. And every other thing is just about them being taught, going to clubs and the rest of it, shaking their booty everywhere. I don't want to talk about the other ones, but maybe we'll come back to that. According to what you say, Candy Yam says that you are categorizing the way women and men develop in the way they are based on how they are raised and who they hang around in their daily life. I am a Black American, will always treat my husband like a king, whether African or American, and I am married to a Nigerian man. Hooray! I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. At least, trust me, if there was no issue that has made me to bring up this conversation, I wouldn't even think that an average Black American woman thinks this way. And I'm saying we need to understand that storytelling actually matters in every society. There are certain cultures that are not even doing as well as the Black American women, but they paint a good picture about themselves. And they act like they are the savior. I always tell people, if you are a Christian, go to Google and type Jesus. you will see a white man, a white person. I once used a word I says Jesus Christ something syndrome. White. But when you type the devil, who would you see? A black man. And if you are not careful of how you paint these pictures about yourself to the world, if you read 48 laws of power, when you get to a particular part in the 48 laws of power written by Robert Greene, it talks about guard your reputation with all costs, by all means. I think that this is my own words now. I think that most black women have not been guiding their reputation by all means necessary. Because if they are, I do not think that the social media would have gone this far with how they've put the ideology of what a black American woman is to the whole world. Now, you might be fighting it individually, but you cannot make a change individually. You have to work with it collectively. And if you can paint this kind of picture about what you just said, and the African woman can also see that they are good black American women, what a one. We came from the same ancestors. We are similar in many ways. We have the same history before everything turned upside down. They wouldn't see you as the enemy. Let me proceed. And Rose says, glad I caught you live in time. I'm a woman and I can tell you there are lots of respectable women in US. Social media makes money off of the women who don't respect themselves because it's entertainment. I absolutely agree with you. It is entertainment. Now, put it this way. If they want to, there's this particular thing they used to do right now. I know most of you will be aware of it, where some men will carry mic and pop the balloon. You will see maybe 7 girls or 9 girls dressed like, I don't know, like demons, and they hold balloons and they are looking for a man that would date them. And when a man comes, they even see a man who is dressing very responsible and they will be busting their balloon. So the question is this: these women who are dressing indecent, popping balloons, and they are saying all negative things about the men. Oh, I don't like your shoe. I don't like this. You have to hear the person out. Some of them just see you coming and they pop the balloon. Maybe it's for entertainment purpose, but what kind of... We shouldn't even talk about the entertainment side. The question is that, what are Black American women doing to start this conversation? Now, if we actually want to start this conversation, the first thing is this: how are some of you willing to push this narration? Can we decide a week? Can we decide once in a week? Can we decide once in a month that various women can paint and we talk about this subject intensively, find a way to make sure this information spread so that the young ladies who are coming up would not also pay the price for just because you decide to dodge what you could have protected them from. And trust me, like someone said earlier, that the Black American women are always under attack by different society. I tell you this, that if we can change the narration of how we view the Black American women, bringing them with the African women, and they are united together, it will be 1,000,000% impossible for society to fight you guys or to divide you guys. But we have to start the conversation from somewhere. Now let me move to the next one. My African male friend was trying to leave me. This is from Sacred Eagle Oracle. My African male friend was trying to leave his wife and children and was treating them harshly. I did not agree with his actions and disrespect for his family and disconnected from him. You have the fear of God. Maybe he's actually doing it, or maybe he's actually pretending that he wants you. African men can be funny sometimes. Candy Yam says, I hear a lot about African women. You are judging. Please, am I judging anybody here? Candy Yams, how am I judging? Do you think, let me ask you a question. Do you think that I will bring up this subject and I would have narrate everything I've narrated just because I dislike an American woman, a Black American woman? I am saying, if you can change the narration and you can unite with the Africans, because some of the Black American women who have experienced African says they are not being treated fairly, even in their own ancestral places. And I'm bringing the subject out and you say, I'm judging. What perspective are you coming from? You need to dial it in a little bit and see exactly where I am actually going with this. I didn't say their Black American women are this or that. I said the image painted about them is this and that. So you're getting it wrong. Sacred Eagle Oracle says the African women I was around at that time was outwardly accepting and asked me, did I bleach because of my color? That was a culture shock for me. Now, please, I would have loved to ask Sacred Eagle Oracle if there's a possibility that you can tell me the particular place. Because for me, I say this, that I'm a Nigerian, I'm a proud Nigerian. And in Nigeria, I understand that there are places I shouldn't go to. Even in Nigeria. Because when I go to different environments, I'll be seeing different. I have to build a relationship slowly with certain people. Now, sometimes when Black American women comes to Africa, they want to experience every part of it. And maybe some of these African women, some of them act a little bit different. Some of them, don't get me wrong, some of them are concrete illiterate. That is the reason why they act the way they act. That's why they are going to treat you in a bad way. Some of them are concrete illiterate. They just look at you and the way you dress and the way you talk, and they just hate you for that. I'm not talking about the illiterate ones, the concrete illiterate ones. I'm talking about some of them hate you because of certain reasons. So should I use the word hate or disparity between you and them is because of certain reasons. So you can tell me about those Black African women or African women who actually welcome you, and what was your response about the bleaching of your skin, and if you do or if you don't, what was your response and how did they perceive it? Now that means that there are various ways they are actually looking at you, and there are things they don't understand. How were you able to establish a communication? These are many things that we are supposed to put together. And I'm also putting it out to you guys. Are there Black American women who would be willing to come on the show and have conversations? And let's talk about some of these things and talk about your experiences on this. If it is possible, you should write in the comment. If you will be willing, you can put any date you like. We can discuss after that. My number is on my page also. And I only have 76 people who are live with me. Only 11 people like me. What did I do to you? Like, subscribe, comment, Thank you very much. As we proceed, join membership if you have to, support the channel so we can continue this kind of conversations, because I really think it's kind of important. Henry Ronan says it also has to do with the type of women they are choosing to marry. Let's be honest, also, there are toxic African women also. I completely 1000% agree with you. 1,000,000% agree with you. Candy Yam says, and all of what you're saying is just your opinion. You are African men and talk like you know all American women. Oh God. Are you using a Bluetooth? Is my network skipping? Now, trust me, I believe there are African women that are part of these conversations that I'm having. And I believe that if they are listening to whatever I'm saying, they understand that I am not even having any side of the conversation, but I don't know where Candy Yams, I don't know how you're seeing whatever I'm saying. When I'm saying things like, how can we unite? How can we come together? How can we stop the way you see? I can speak from the African perspective. I cannot speak from the American perspective. Now, it is the American person, an American black woman, that can tell us that this is how we view the African woman. Maybe we do not so much support their ways because of this particular thing and this particular thing. I am an African man. I can only see from this particular viewpoint. You tell me how you see it from your side to the African women. I said this earlier, that the black African man loves a black American Western woman. We love you guys. Are there some guys who want to take advantage of you because of your economic opportunities? Yes. Some African men would do that. But I'm saying, naturally, looking at you, you are glittering in other areas of life that an average African man will want to be with you. Are there cultural differences? Yes. Would we want to have a way to be able to mitigate and find a middle ground? Yes. Are there other things to do? Yes. But what I'm saying is that I can see most things from the African perspective, that the women might be afraid, that the women might be trying to protect the man. You tell us how you view things, not saying that I'm speaking my opinion and I'm judging anybody. I ain't judging anybody. I don't have the time for it. They call me the man of thought, the villain of truth. The villain of truth simply means I say it how I see it. And I don't think I'm being disrespectful. Now, if you feel disrespected, I'm sorry. But I'm not trying to disrespect. I'm only telling you my viewpoint. Thank you very much. Sacred Eagle says, thanks. Okay. Candy Yam says, African women need to learn to be independent here in the US. We are, and I feel you and some other African men fear that. That's why you are talking this way. Now, all right. I see what you're saying. Kevin Samuel is a joke. Emmy Ron says Kevin Samuel is a joke, and he died cheating on his wife. We will let that slide. We hear you. That's true, according to the information, but a lot of humans are hypocrites. Anna says it's an interesting discussion and is meant to start the conversation, not saying anything about 100% of all of this and that. Yeah. You said Black American women treat their men with disrespect and other things you said too. Okay. I said the way they are being portrayed on social media and in movies. I haven't been to America. I have no, currently, the stage of my life, I have no desire to go to America or to go to any country. I love Nigeria. There are a lot of things here that I need to work on as a Nigeria. Our country is going through a lot that I have to fix in my own way. in the only way I can contribute. So, but that doesn't mean that regardless of how I view things, I think that the Black American women are our brothers and our sisters. That means the men and the women. We came from the same ancestral past. And at the same time, I have a lot of friends who are there. And in the fact, again, I have some of them who are in other countries who always come back home. And there are the narrations they are painting, that they are saying that the Black American woman or this and that or so, this is how they are treating them. But if you don't hear from the other side, it paints a narration about you guys in a different way. If we don't start this conversation, this is how we see ourselves. And rather than us to be coming together when the Black American women are going through a lot, and I've heard about Black American women going through a lot, but if I don't have certain conversations and people open my eyes that Black American women are actually going through a lot, I wouldn't have even come up with the conversation in the first place. And when I check into most of your social medias and most podcasts, I don't see people defending the Black American women and talking about the good things about them. Everything they do is just how to beat them down. And that raised a concern. I spoke about 2 hours today talking about Jesus and other things. So I have thousands of subjects I could discuss about, but I talked about this because I'm genuinely concerned about it, nothing else. Zeus A says, Candy Yams, that independent mindset is the problem. If you so independent, stay by yourself, then what you need. No. We don't do that here. Zeus, take it easy. We don't do that here. The idea is not to fight ourselves here. The idea is to have a discussion. And in some places, people would misunderstand you. I understand that Candy Yams misunderstood me. Maybe she came a little bit late. Maybe she didn't understand where I was coming from and how I started narrating the story. That's the reason why I kept on telling her my viewpoint. But you see, some people are good. And trust me, I have seen good Black American women who never get married simply because they can't find a man who is actually honest and respectful or has dignity and honor that they should establish a family with. So she is trying to, at least everything she has been saying, she hasn't disrespect me or abuse me or whatever. And even if she does, that's just a viewpoint. I understand your point also, but let's chill out a little bit. We need to make this work in one way or the other. Candid Yam says that not all women are the same. I totally agree with you, and that's what I've been saying. She says African men call the police a lot of women. African men call the police a lot of women. This will be the first time I'm hearing that. Trust me, I rarely hear this. I don't even know if it is possible. But everything we can see on social media is the women calling the Black men, calling the police to take the Black men out. So if we don't have this discussion, how do we know? Candy Yams, African women pack layers of makeup and wear and a lot cheap wigs. I myself am natural. Don't keep talking based on all African American women. I know a lot of African women. All right. Sacred Eagle says, Oracle says, truth. Who the truth says that if you are observant, most couples who travels overseas, 80% hardly maintain their relationship or marriage. That's to tell you that a lot of our thought has been manipulated. Oracle of truth and who the truth talk. This is not only me speaking. Now I'm saying there's a perception out there, and if we don't start the conversation, the perception would be the narration of the Black Americans. The question is this: I have heard that most of the Africans that are coming into the Western culture right now are even more are given opportunity, and they are kind of taking jobs away from the original Black Americans. And it's causing some kind of issues that most likely might trend to something else in the future. And it looks as if they are kind of slowly wiping out the Black Americans, slowly, so that the Africans can only come there to work. I don't know, it's an hypothetical speaking, but it is part of the things that I have discussed with certain individuals on. But if it is true, correct me. If I'm wrong, correct me. But who the truth says it, and I will read it one more time. It says, if you observe, and most couples who travels overseas, 80% hardly maintain their relationship or marriage. That's to tell you that lot of our thought has been manipulated. It can only be manipulated because, no, let me retract. It most likely might be manipulated simply because there is a view and a cultural way that does not make relationship actually function or flourish over there. Hardly, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but in Nigeria, yeah, marriage, 60% marriage works, or 70% marriage works. Yes, you would, in the beginning of every marriage, there's going to be issues. And trust me, I think that one of the things that have been able to sustain an African or Nigerian marriage, for example, let me not just speak on all Africans, is simply because of families. Because the marriage is not just between the guy and the girl, the marriage is between more families. So when families unite together, whenever they want to be break up between the man and the woman, they find a way to fix it as family. But when it is the individuals that are into that relationship and the families are out of the picture, and maybe families don't even know each other, both of you just go one day and you go to the court and nobody knows your family, or you go rent somebody to be your mother and your father, it is easy for you guys to separate whenever there's disagreement. Maybe that is what is playing out when a lot of us travel out of the country. And that is the reason why, if you go on Daddy Freeze channel, you would see a lot of people talk about stories that are related to this subject that Who the Truth has talked about. And Ron says those are joke women on those games. Okay, I'm down with that. Okay, Anna will be down with that. Thank you very much. Please, you can write to me on WhatsApp or through my email address, kolaenimowo@gmail.com, or my WhatsApp number is 08061704753. If you want it, you can go to my page, my YouTube page, and click about, and you will see my contact and every other thing. I would so much appreciate us having this conversation. Go get a girlfriend and stop hating. That's from Hamilton. I am 6 years in marriage with 2 beautiful kids, and I've been with the same woman for 8 years. Chill out. You never started the conversation, so you don't understand. No. Anna even responded. Nobody's hating on anything. It's a start of a discussion about cultural difference, similarities, clashes, etc. Nobody can sit honestly and say that they have never experienced any of these. Namaste. Thank you very much, Anna. At least somebody defended me. I am appreciative of it. Thank you very much. Who the Truth says, Hamilton, it's a simple conversation, not hating. You can simply screw past if you don't feel comfortable here. She's welcome. Hamilton is welcome. Probably she came in late, and that's the reason why. I appreciate Who the Truth, but Hamilton, chill off. I don't hate you guys. I want things to work for us all. We are one. We might be different in many things, but we are all one, and there's nothing. I have few things that I would have been able to discuss here because I have different parts of solutions about even the education awareness, talking about shared goals and collaboration, talking about celebrating commonalities, representation in media and the rest of it, challenging strategies, many things that I would have brought up, but I'll be ending because I've exceeded 1 hour 30 minutes for today. So in our next subject, maybe by weekend Sundays, if Miss Anne will be available, if anyone wants to be available for us to be able to start this conversation, please join me. Go on my page, take my WhatsApp contact, chat me up on my email, or write me to my email address. Just go to my YouTube page and check about me, and you will see every other ways you can contact me. With that being said, Hamilton, she's Clarissa or something, Clarissa something, Candy Yams, and the rest of it. I do not hate you all, guys. I want something to work positively between the Black American women, Black American men, and the Africans, because we all came from one ancestral um, place. So let's just make it work. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to my channel, like, and join membership if you want to, and let's see how we can make this move forward. Thank you very much for being patient with today's discussion. I am grateful for everyone's contribution. Thank you very much. We're going to see you next time. Bye bye. Peace.